All right, let's take a look at how Nanobox can help you run and develop any app locally and then deploy that app onto any cloud provider. So a good place to start is on Nanobox Quick Starts. So we've created a GitHub organization with a bunch of sample applications that are configured and ready to go. So to save some time, I went ahead and cloned the Django Quick Start, mostly because it was at the top of the list. So I've already cloned it. And so all that we need to do is run the app. So the nice thing about Nanobox is that there's really not anything different than your normal development workflow except to prefix any command with Nanobox run. So if I would normally run my app with Python manage.py run server, then that's how I would run it with Nanobox. And Nanobox builds the environment for me and runs it in isolation. So now that I have the application running, as a convenience, I can go ahead and add a DNS alias, which is going to require my password. And now I can hop over to my browser and open up, I guess it was python.dev? No, it was django.dev. That's right. Okay, so django.dev, port 8000, and there's the app. So Nanobox really doesn't do anything special to your application. Your application is still your application, and the way you would develop your application is the way you would develop your application without Nanobox. So what Nanobox provides you is a portable runtime that allows your app to run everywhere. And in this case, this particular application requires a database, and so Nanobox has spun up a database and created environment variables that our application can use to connect. Now, additionally, if I didn't want to just run the Python command, I could just do nanobox run, which will drop me into that environment and establish an interactive console. So here I could, I can see that my source code is mounted, and I can really do anything that I would normally do. And I do have Python installed, and I also have all of my packages. So the environment's ready to go, and it's ready to develop in. And with Nanobox, you just don't have to worry about how it came to be or how it got set up. Now you can customize however you want, but that's really the beauty of Nanobox, is that it takes the burden of building the environment off of your plate, so you can just focus and worry about writing your application. And really, what I wanted to get across here, the main point that I wanted to get across, is simply that with Nanobox, the same workflow that you've always had is the workflow that you use with Nanobox. Nanobox simply provides a really thin a really thin environment to help you to develop your app. So now that this application is running, I'm going to want to deploy it into production. So to deploy it into production, I can go to the dashboard, and I've already created an account at dashboard.nanobox.io, and so I want to launch an app. So I start to launch an app, and the first thing that we'll notice is that we need to connect a cloud provider account. So Nanobox is not a hosting company. Nanobox will provision servers on your cloud provider on your behalf and allow you to deploy your app into that. So let's go ahead and connect a cloud provider. And at this time, the only official provider that we're making available is DigitalOcean. But you'll see in the coming weeks many others start to fall in place. So in order to use DigitalOcean, I need to create an access token. So I'll go ahead and go create an access token. I'm going to generate a new one, and I'm just going to call this Nanobox demo, give it read and write privileges, and then I want to copy it. I've copied it. I can paste that token in, verify, and it worked. So I'll go ahead and call this DigitalOcean, and my default region, let's say New York. Okay, so now I have linked a cloud provider so I can launch an app. And in this case, let's just call it Django Demo. DigitalOcean, New York 1, I'll just leave the defaults. And I can see what's about to happen is that Nanobox is going to order a server on our account, which we're going to install the platform onto, and we'll see that happening here. And if I were to keep this app running on the smallest DigitalOcean server, I would only have to pay about $5 a month. So let's create the app. So Nanobox is a micro platform. And what Nanobox does differently, what's really unique and really pretty cool, is that Nanobox gives you the advantage of a platform. So as a developer, you really can just focus on writing your application and focusing on features within your application. And really, you don't really have to know how to do DevOps. You don't need to know how to provision servers, how to apply updates, how to configure the firewall. All of the tedious stuff. But also, you're not stuck in a platform and limited to control. And so Nanobox is going to install the platform on a micro platform on your server. So in this case, just one server, and it's installing the micro platform. Now it's a micro platform because all of the components that Nanobox is going to install are really small. So we can see here that we're provisioning the server from DigitalOcean. Looks like that's complete. And now we are going to build the micro platform. And there's multiple components that are necessary to run an app, like your routing mesh and centralized logger. And I'm not going to go into detail on those right now. We can do that in another demo. But essentially, every app that you launch has its own micro platform that gives you everything that you need to run and manage your app. And you don't have to worry about multi-tenancy. You don't have to worry about being locked in. So here in just a very very short time, in fact, shorter than I could have taken to explain the process, we're going to have a fully functional platform running on this server, this really small 512 megabyte server on DigitalOcean that we can then deploy the application onto. And you get all the nice advantages of a platform, the ability to scale, the ability to deploy, to roll back, and to aggregate all of your logs and to collect your metrics, and all of that is provided by Nanobox. But again, without the restrictions and the lockdown that other platforms might impose. So last step, it looks like we are updating the routing mesh, and then this server is ready to go, and we have a micro platform that we can deploy our app onto. So I'll follow the steps here, show the instructions, and go back to our application that we were working on locally. And I can add this application that I just launched as a remote, and then I can deploy it. So this is going to compile, build the application, and then upload it onto the platform that I just launched. So the first time it has to send the entire runtime, the environment that the application runs within, and also the application. So it takes a little bit longer the first time, but all the subsequent deploys are only going to synchronize the differences. So it's only going to send the the differences, and so the first deploy takes the longest, and the subsequent deploys are really pretty quick, and they're just incremental. So we're sending that up now. And we're sending this deployable package onto a component that's part of the platform. So really, as you're watching this, I hope you're thinking about all the things that you don't have to do while Nanobox is doing this for you. It's really nice. Okay, so looks like the deploy is on the way. So if we go back to our dashboard, looks like the deploy is on the way, and it's recognizing that we need a database. So it's going to go ahead and install that database, configure it, get it running, and we can see that it is now running that database, setting it up on the DigitalOcean droplet that we ordered. And all this is happening on a small 512 instance. And shortly after we start up our databases, and in this case there's just one database, but after all of our data services are running, now we are launching our code and running our actual application. So looks like it's going to pull the Docker image, and then it's going to run that application. And the interesting thing to note here is that the same environment that you use to develop your app running locally, so the same environment that I just showed you that I was running the app in, is the same environment that ends up running in production. And so if it's working locally, it's going to work in production, and you don't have to worry about that the inconsistencies there. Okay, so just little bit more here, and then we will have an application. Okay, everything is finished, and we now have an application, so let's go see it live. Oh no, invalid host. Okay, so looks like Django is going to require us to specify the host. So let's go back to our application. And let's tell Django, hey, this is an OK host. And now we will just deploy again. Going to compile the application again for us. And this time it's just going to sync the differences. It is going to attempt to sync the differences in the runtime, even though there aren't any. It's going to try to sync those anyways. But this deploy is significantly faster than the first because it's only synchronizing the differences. And you can now go check the dashboard for progress. We're going to go ahead and it's going to launch a new, a completely new service for us, and spin up the application with the new deploy. So it looks like it's starting it up now. Running a database migration. Okay, now it's updating the load balancer and destroyed the old one. So let's go see. It worked. So we have a Django app that is running in production. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over all of the dashboard features, and I just want to show a couple of things here, and that is that we can see our application visualized. So Nanobox on this single droplet, our application is broken into application components, which consists of our database and our web processes, and also platform components that provide this app with all the functionality that it needs to deploy, to scale, to collect health stats, and also to receive real-time updates. And I'll go over that more in detail in the next demo. But you can see now that that it's been up and running, that the statistics are starting to collect, and that on this this machine that's only 512 megs of RAM, we're only using about 52%. That includes the entire platform and all of the components. So it's really lightweight and really performant. And the last thing that I want to show you is that unlike many other platforms, Nanobox does not lock you out. It doesn't restrict access, and there's not ever a time where you can't have full control. So we can see I can use this console. If I were to run that command here, it's going to drop me right on to that DigitalOcean host, and I can see all of the containers that are running. And this is a this is full access SSH connection. Everything that Nanobox has done, you have access to. You can see all of the processes that are running in all of the containers. And as a convenience, you can even hop in to one of these containers. So let's say our web process directly, and drops us right in, so we can see that we are indeed running in a container that is only running our Python app and Nginx and a few kind of logging services. So hopefully this has given you just a little taste of what Nanobox can do, and hopefully has shown you how easily you can take any application and you can get that application running locally. You can work on it, you can develop it, and then you can deploy that application into production really without having to learn anything new. So hopefully this has been a good introduction into Nanobox, and thanks for your time.